As time goes by, I mean, it's a bit like when you're at war, you stick together.
The blues has a way of forcing honesty from those who live it longest. Eric Clapton, after decades of silence, has finally spoken the truth about Chris Rea, a revelation that changes everything we thought we knew about their relationship. What Clapton revealed goes beyond admiration, beyond rivalry, straight to the heart of what it means to be authentic in a world that rewards pretense over truth. Eric Clapton's admission hit the music world like a confession 40 years in the making. The interview began routinely enough. Another retrospective on a legendary career, another opportunity for careful reflection on decades of guitar mastery. But when Clapton's voice dropped and he leaned forward, something shifted. The practiced answers gave way to raw honesty. He wasn't talking about technical achievements or commercial milestones anymore. He was talking about fear. Chris Rea was the guitarist I feared most, Clapton revealed, his words carrying the weight of decades. Not Jeff Beck with his innovative techniques, not Jimmy Page with his mystique. Chris Rea, the slide guitar master from Middlesbrough, who treated fame like an unwelcome visitor and authenticity like a religion. The confession didn't emerge from professional jealousy or competitive rivalry. It came from something deeper: recognition. Clapton had spent his career being called Slowhand, earning reverence as a guitar god, building a mythology that became both blessing and prison. But watching Chris Rea, he witnessed something he'd lost somewhere between the Yardbirds and his solo stardom: complete indifference to the performance of being a rock star. Rea's approach to music was like watching someone speak their native language while everyone else struggled with translation. There was no separation between the man and the music, no calculation about how each note would be received or interpreted. Clapton realized he'd been performing authenticity for so long, he'd forgotten what the real thing looked like. "I spent years trying to reverse engineer what Chris had naturally," Clapton admitted. The irony wasn't lost on him, one of the most celebrated guitarists in history, studying someone who actively avoided celebration, trying to learn how to be real again. The confession revealed more than admiration. It exposed the loneliness of manufactured perfection. The truth about their 1985 tour remained buried for 40 years until Clapton finally spoke. Behind the scenes of what appeared to be a standard headliner support act arrangement, a different dynamic was playing out. Night after night, Clapton watched from the wings as Chris Rea took the stage without fanfare, without introduction, simply materializing like a craftsman arriving at his workbench. No pyrotechnics, no elaborate stage setup, just Rea, his guitar, and an unshakable commitment to the music itself. What Clapton witnessed changed his understanding of performance forever. "He made me realize I'd forgotten how to just play," Clapton revealed. While Clapton's sets were carefully orchestrated events, complete with lighting cues and planned spontaneity, Rea treated each performance like a conversation with 3,000 strangers. The contrast became unavoidable. Clapton's shows were spectacular, polished, designed to reinforce his legend. Rea's sets were intimate, even in large venues, creating an atmosphere where the audience felt like they'd stumbled into something private and profound. The difference wasn't in technical skill. Both were masters of their craft. The difference was in intent. Clapton began studying Rea's approach with the intensity of a student. How did he connect so directly with audiences? How did he make a 17,000-seat arena feel like a living room? How did he perform without performing? The questions haunted Clapton because they revealed everything he'd sacrificed in pursuit of perfection. The tour became a masterclass in authenticity that Clapton never officially enrolled in. Every night, he watched Rea demonstrate what music could be when it wasn't burdened by expectation or mythology. "I realized I was the support act," Clapton confessed, supporting someone who understood something I'd lost. By the tour's end, Clapton carried more than memories. He carried a blueprint for a different way of being, one he'd spend decades trying to implement. Clapton's most shocking confession concerned the acoustic performance that defined his later career. The MTV Unplugged series represented everything the music industry loved about the 1990s: authentic performances stripped of production excess, intimate settings that revealed artistic truth. When Clapton's appearance became legendary, launching his acoustic renaissance and generating some of his most celebrated recordings, it seemed like natural evolution. The reality was more complicated. Years earlier, Chris Rea had been offered one of the first unplugged slots. The format seemed perfect for his intimate style, his conversational approach to performance. But Rea turned it down, and his reason revealed everything about his relationship with authenticity. He saw it for what it was: performance of intimacy rather than intimacy itself, Clapton explained. Rea's rejection haunted Clapton because it demonstrated a level of artistic integrity that seemed almost reckless. Here was an opportunity for career resurgence, for reaching new audiences, for cementing legacy. And Rea walked away because it felt contrived. The decision was pure Chris Rea, choosing artistic honesty over commercial opportunity, even when the opportunity was disguised as artistic honesty. When Clapton eventually accepted his own unplugged invitation, Rea's refusal echoed in his mind. Every acoustic arrangement, every intimate moment, carried the weight of wondering whether he was creating something real or manufacturing something that looked real. The success of the performance only deepened the questions. "I spent the whole taping thinking about what Chris would think," Clapton revealed, "whether he'd see it as music or television." The confession exposed the anxiety beneath one of his most celebrated achievements, the fear that his pursuit of authenticity had become another form of performance. The irony consumed him. His most authentic work was inspired by someone who'd rejected the entire concept as inauthentic, leaving Clapton to wonder whether he'd found his true voice or simply become better at imitating one. Clapton's revelations exposed uncomfortable truths about fame, authenticity, and the music business. The machinery of stardom operates on a simple principle: transform artists into brands, songs into products, authenticity into marketing strategy. Clapton had navigated this transformation with remarkable success, maintaining relevance across decades while building a mythology that transcended music. But watching Chris Rea resist every aspect of this machinery revealed what Clapton had sacrificed in the process. Rea's career became a case study in artistic stubbornness that somehow succeeded despite itself. While Clapton mastered the art of being Eric Clapton, the interviews, the image management, the careful cultivation of legend, Rea remained frustratingly, consistently himself. "He never learned to play the game," Clapton observed, "because he never acknowledged there was a game to play." This wasn't naivety, it was strategy. Rea understood that the moment you begin performing authenticity, you lose it. The moment you calculate how to appear genuine, you are no longer genuine. Clapton had spent decades perfecting this calculation, becoming increasingly skilled at seeming authentic, while losing touch with what authenticity actually felt like. The contrast became painful when Clapton realized that industry success had taught him to distrust his own instincts. Every creative decision passed through filters of commercial viability, brand consistency, audience expectation. Meanwhile, Rea made music like he was the only person who would ever hear it, then shared it like an afterthought. "I envied his irrelevance to his own career," Clapton confessed, capturing the paradox perfectly. Rea's indifference to the machinery of fame made him more authentic, more connected to his music, more honest in his artistic expression. His career succeeded not because of industry manipulation, but in spite of industry irrelevance. The confession revealed Clapton's deepest professional regret, trading authenticity for perfection, spontaneity for control, truth for legend. With Chris Rea's passing, Clapton's timing feels like both tribute and confession. The news of Rea's death on December 22nd created an immediate outpouring of recognition from fellow musicians, from critics, from fans who'd understood his unique position in British music. But Clapton's response went beyond standard tribute, beyond professional courtesy, into territory that felt personal and urgent. His admission that he'd spent decades studying Rea's approach to music, trying to reverse engineer the older guitarist's relationship with authenticity, revealed humility rarely seen from guitar legends. This wasn't the measured praise of one professional acknowledging another. This was confession, acknowledgement that the student had been watching the teacher all along. "Chris showed me what I'd lost and spent 40 years trying to get back," Clapton revealed. The statement carried the weight of a career spent in pursuit of something that Rea had never lost: the ability to make music without self-consciousness, to perform without performance, to remain authentic in an industry designed to manufacture authenticity. The timing of Clapton's revelations, coming so soon after Rea's death, suggested urgency, as if certain truths could only be spoken when their subjects were no longer present to hear them. Or perhaps Rea's passing freed Clapton to acknowledge what he'd always known but never admitted: that commercial success and artistic authenticity often exist in opposition, and that Rea had chosen correctly. "He stayed real when the rest of us forgot how," Clapton concluded, his words serving as both epitaph and mirror. In honoring Chris Rea's legacy, Clapton illuminated his own journey, not just from apprentice to master, but from authentic musician to manufactured legend, and back toward something resembling truth. The confession revealed that legends too need heroes, and sometimes find them in the artists who refuse to become legends at all. These revelations force us to reconsider everything we think we know about artistic success. Eric Clapton's confession about Chris Rea wasn't just personal admission. It was professional archaeology, excavating the difference between being a great musician and being a great career. Rea's approach challenged every assumption about what artists must sacrifice for commercial success, proving that authenticity isn't a luxury, but a strategy. Not weakness, but strength. In honoring Chris Rea, Clapton illuminated a truth the music industry works hard to obscure: that the most honest artists often make the most lasting impact, even when that impact isn't measured in chart positions or award ceremonies. Rea's legacy lives not in his reluctance to embrace fame, but in his commitment to something more valuable: the music itself, uncompromised and unadorned. Perhaps that's the real lesson in Clapton's confession: that artistic integrity isn't about rejecting success, but about refusing to let success reject you. Chris Rea understood this instinctively, lived it daily, and left behind music that sounds exactly like what it is: honest, human, real. The blues, after all, has always been about telling the truth. What do you think about Clapton's revelations? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories behind music that shaped our world.